Check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it.
Hey, Greg and the CE call me hip hop junkie. Straight to your dome piece like Brass Monkey. All I wanna know, do you wanna get funky? CNC beats beat.
We've got an exciting one today. I've had the Canon Powershot V1 for about a week now, and I've been putting it through its paces. I've been looking for the perfect everyday carry camera, and I haven't really found that perfect fit. So we're gonna find out if this can fit the bill. Let's get right into it. So first, let's talk about the actual camera. The build of this camera is a little thicker than most point and shoots. Like, I have some pretty small ones here, but this is a pretty thick overall camera, and it does fit in your pocket. Like, I have sweats on right now, and it will fit pretty comfortably into that. But jean pockets and things like that are gonna be a little bit tighter. But I will say I do really enjoy holding this camera compared to any of those. It feels like you're kind of like using chopsticks, whereas this feels like you're holding a camera. So I do appreciate that about it. And I think not fitting in a jean pocket is a sacrifice I'm willing to make to give this camera a shot. I've never actually had a Canon camera before, so getting used to the menus and things like that is a little bit of a learning curve. But overall, really haven't struggled too much. Anything I've wanted to do, I've been able to do. So I would give that as like a positive mark from someone who's new to Canon cameras. Not new to cameras in general. I think if you are new to cameras, there will be a little bit of a learning curve, but overall pretty simplified layout in the menu systems there. The buttons on this camera initially really bugged me. They're kind of soft and a little bit just softer than I'm used to. The dials feel good, and I really do enjoy the video to photo switch, but the camera buttons were kind of bugging me. As I've used it more, I've noticed that I don't mind the buttons at all, actually. It's like the perfect mix of soft and tactile. From someone who didn't want to like it initially, they've really grown on me quite a bit. This camera was really marketed at vloggers with the flip out screen, the built-in fan, a bunch of video specific features. But to be an ultimate daily carry camera, this needs to hold its own in photography, at least be sharp enough where I like using it more than my phone. So let's take a look at how this camera does on the photography side of things. When I think about a camera that's going to hold its own in photography, it's going to really perform well in two types of photography environments for me. That's candid photos of my friends and family, and then environmental shots when I'm walking. Those are the vast majority of my photographs, and I would say most people, you know, there's more specific like wildlife, landscape photography and things like that, which I might do if the opportunity presents itself, but I'm just trying to take average daily moment photos. And I think this camera really does excel at that. I've seen and pixel peeped a lot of these photos, and they are really sharp. And it's kind of fun to have a camera that has a focal length. I believe it starts at 16 or 15 millimeters. So you can take some really wide shots, which is actually really helpful for everyday life things, I think. A lot of times you're inside, you need a wide angle camera, you want to capture the moment. So I've been really enjoying that, but a lot of times I do start up the camera and have to zoom in to a little focal length that I'm more familiar with. One thing that I was really excited to try was the Canon Color Science. I've heard a lot of good things about Canon colors, and I will say the color tones coming straight out of the camera do look really good, skin tones and things like that. I do edit a lot of my photos, so I've been shooting mostly RAW, and I started shooting some JPEG and RAW to see how those JPEGs would turn out. But to me, if I'm gonna transfer these photos to my phone, I'm gonna take 10 seconds to at least tweak something in Lightroom to make the photo look even better. So This camera gives a lot of flexibility with those raw photos. I've been really impressed with the image performance on this, and my biggest complaint would be that starting it up and having to zoom in to be at a more normal focal length, but the wide end does give you that point of view you might not get with a lot of cameras unless you have a really specific lens for it. The autofocus on this camera is really reliable too. Almost too reliable at some points. Like, I was taking pictures of my niece at her soccer game and it was just locking on people's heads everywhere. So I had to switch that off and do a little touch focusing, but that's the best part about this is the touch focus is so quick and responsive, and it tracks really well once you click on something to focus. All right, now let's talk about the video side of this camera, which is why a lot of people will be purchasing this. The video capabilities in this camera are kind of crazy. Being able to shoot in 10-bit color with a log profile in a camera this small and get the results that you're able to get out of it is really impressive. But this is an everyday carry camera. Sometimes creating log footage is not something I'm super interested in. I'm just gonna be honest. I do it with my big camera, but this camera I did want to test out the normal color as well. And I've been pretty impressed with the colors coming out of this camera. I will say it tends to overexpose footage, so I have to bring my adjustment down quite a bit. But the built-in ND filter in this camera is really awesome. I did have a ZV1 a few years back, but I had bought an adapter to make the camera lens wider and had to basically stick it on there. And then I had to get an ND filter for that. It looked so digital and bad without an ND filter. This has 3 stops of ND, which is not perfect, but it does get you in a pinch. Like on the brightest, sunniest day, turn the ISO to 100, turn the f-stop up to 5, and record myself and not have any issues. This is built in, this thing's ready to go in the bright light. Might not be perfect, but it is a really good option that I think is worth noting that I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about. I'm filming this clip and I got my studio light there and my background light, and this picture looks so good. And I can kind of judge it on this little screen, and it gives me the recording box all the way around, which I really do appreciate. Honestly, if you are vlogging, I don't really know what the huge downside of this camera is. This is honestly kind of a perfect solution in my opinion. I had the Osmo Pocket. I got kind of sick of being so fragile with it everywhere with the gimbal and it only being one focal length. So this is kind of gives you the ability to zoom, and it's kind of a little more fun camera to vlog with too, which I do think matters. A couple of other things I wanted to talk about with this camera was like the ease of use and workflow, transferring footage and things like that. Let me show you how fast this camera actually turns on and is ready to shoot. So let me hit the power button in 3, 2, 1. Shows Canon logo, ready to shoot. I think that is awesome. I can't remember how fast my ZV1 was, or my Osmo Pocket was about that fast as well, but I don't know, something about that is really satisfying. I haven't missed a moment to record anything or shoot anything because the camera's been buffering or anything like that. Actually, using the menus and everything is super snappy on this thing, so kudos to Canon on that aspect of the camera. Transferring files on this camera is really simple. You plug a USB-C in to your computer and it pops up Canon V1 and it's ready to go. You can transfer files from the Canon app, which seems pretty similar to other photo apps I've used. Nothing too egregious or great that I noticed so far, but I haven't used it too much. I typically drop things into my computer and then drop them to my phone because I can edit them a little more, but not a huge top of priority list for me where it may be for some of you, and I'd suggest doing a little more research on that. The audio out of this camera, I just keep this little windscreen that came with it on all the time, and I'm really impressed with the results you get. I think that's highly underrated, like not having to worry about a microphone or attaching a wireless mic to yourself like this. there's a real benefit. Like you can just turn this thing on and capture moments, which is what it's there for. I don't really even have things to film, but I'm just filming as we walk here and am blown away by how good this looks. There's a little bit of noise, but I think right now it's doing a really good job, and it's so dark right here. Made it to the final chapter of this video, talking about who this camera is really for. Obviously, it's marketed at vloggers. It is perfect for those type of people looking to make content that really steps up from their phone. I'm just gonna be honest here. I do not recommend you go with the Osmo Pocket. Like, this seems like a much better solution to me. Personally, I had an Osmo Pocket, and being very careful with the gimbal, putting it away, and being limited to that one focal length, and having to put a little ND filter on the lens or a wide angle lens on it, like that's just extra steps in the shooting process. This thing, I'm kind of singing its praises as I'm doing this review. I didn't even know if I liked it that much, but thinking about how it compares to other cameras I've used, it's kind of been a dream. Like, I just turn this thing on and it's ready to go. And that's what I appreciate the most about this. So people for looking for just like a carefree camera that you can just bring with you, and you don't have to worry about settings. You can leave this thing, 180-degree shutter rule for video, and you're good to go. Like, that's gonna produce really good video for what you're trying to do. Is it professional quality? No, don't buy this camera if you're a professional using it in a work environment. I really wasn't sure if I was going to keep this, but just really taking a step back and analyzing how good this thing is has made me reflect on the other poor purchase decisions I've made in the past. Just lastly, wanted to cover some deal breakers that might be a reason you don't want this camera, just so that's apparent as I'm singing its praises. It is not a perfect camera by any means. It is a little bulky to be considered a pocket cam, but I don't think it is necessarily a huge issue. It's just riding that line. If you're super serious about photography, I don't think it's a perfect solution, but I do think it's a really good solution if you also want video. Another thing might be the no viewfinder on this. I have tried to put this up to my eye before. Not that I shoot a lot with the viewfinder, but on those sunny days, it is nice. But no viewfinder could be a deal breaker for some. I, again, don't have that at the top of my priority list. And then the last thing that I think may be the biggest deal breaker with this camera, that may be talked about somewhat online, but the variable aperture rate when you zoom, like it only being 2.8 on the wide end might turn some people off. But personally, when I'm shooting photos, a lot of the time it's in the daytime and it's pretty decent light, where f4 is gonna work for those situations, and a lot of times that's what I want to shoot my photos at anyways. Some final thoughts on this little camera is, I don't think it is the ultimate daily carry camera, but it is a pretty good pocket camera for me. And I think it's as close as perfect as I can get right now. So I'm gonna take it and run with it. If there's something better that comes out, I definitely will keep my eyes open, but for what I wanna do, this is kind of checking a lot of boxes. And if you're looking for a camera just to capture some moments in photo or video, I think this is really honestly the best solution right now. I'm gonna run with this, and I'm excited to create more memories with this. And I appreciate you guys watching. If you have any questions on this and this somehow gets outside of my small YouTube audience, let me know. And if you have any tips or tricks on things that I may have got wrong, I'd appreciate you letting me know in the comments. Thank you, and remember, you are loved, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.